Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. Welcome to this session. I'm just half of your host today. I'm Annette, and I hope you guys have been well. Um, and you've been amazing. Let us know how you're doing. I can see people saying they're from Nigeria. If you have friends who need to be in this call, please make sure that you're pinging them so that they can show up. Quick agenda of the day is quickly we're going to go through the rules of engagement, and then I'm gonna pass it on to our next host, is Byron, and then we're going to have a Q&A session for you to answer your questions, and then a few updates, and then we can call it a session. Without taking too much of your time, the rules of engagement. If you have any question, please utilize the Q&A tab. We'll be able to address them as we go and even address them when the Q&A section comes. Avoid asking your questions on the chats because it can get lost. Feel free to use the chat, but please be very respectful. We will be closing it and opening it up as the session is running. And most importantly, listen, learn, and engage. And I hope you get to enjoy this session. And now I'll pass it on to you, Byron. Over to you.
Yep. Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Thumbs up if you can. Yep. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, you're welcome to another webinar. Thank you, Annette. And this is more like a summary of everything we've been doing, preparation for your exams, and maybe we can have some tips and tricks. All right. So let's just step into it. And hopefully it's going to be interactive as possible. So get ready to type in the chat when necessary. But for now, I think we are going to probably put the chat on hold. Okay. When I ask, then we can just step into the chat and send something. All right. I just want to let me start by sharing my screen. Yep. Can you see my screen? Awesome. Okay, so let's start with understanding certain things. Okay. All right. So before we delve into coding proper or querying, let's understand certain things. All right. Let's start with database. Okay, database. Yeah, I'm not trying to repeat all the lectures, okay? So it's just a recap and then we head on straight. I'm not sure this is going to take us more than 10 minutes. But it will be glad for us to understand because even though you know, you might learn something new. Okay, so when we say database, yeah, maybe we can open the chat. It's like I'll be needing the chat. All right, so let's step into the chat. So very briefly, what do you understand by database? Very briefly. Maybe there's something you're going to get from this one. I'm very certain you get maybe a new understanding of database right now. Okay, so let's see the charts. We can open the chart and let's just flood into the charts. Your understanding of database, what say define database very briefly. Let's see what it is. Okay. A collection of data, a collection of related data, structured data. Yeah, yeah. Keep it coming, keep it coming. Yeah. Okay. Container storing. Wow. I am learning container storing data. Interesting. Is an organized collection of data electronically, yeah, related data, digital storage box. Wow. This is wonderful. It's okay. Thank you very much. Because like your definitions are kind of competing with the one in my head. All right. It's fine. Thank you very much. Okay, now let's step into it. So I'm glad you already have a solid understanding of what database is. I probably will want to shock you a bit. Everything you said is correct, so don't think I want to mark your script. But I want to shock you a bit, I guess. First of all, a database is not a tool. Do we understand that? Let me go further. It is a concept. All right. So a database is not a tool. A database is a concept. So when you hear database, it is true that it is a collection of data, but it is not restricted to where the data is collected. So understanding that database is not a tool, but a concept would help you in certain things, all right? That you can use almost anything that can store data in a structured manner as a database. Do we understand that part? Because it is a concept and not a tool. Anything, any platform, we can just leave the chat open, all right? Anything, any platform that can represent data in structured manner can work as a database. Hope I'm not confusing somebody here. Okay, I'll give you an example. This is spreadsheets. Can this be a database? Yes or no? Can this be used for database? Yes or no? Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay. I'm sure somebody somewhere here has learned something new already. That when you hear database, it doesn't mean MySQL alone. It doesn't mean Oracle alone. Okay. Okay, let me just shock you as well that this sheet you are seeing is actually a live data. Okay. It's coming from a live data, all right, that is being used. Okay, so these are real customers, real things that are going on. But this developer decided to use Google Sheets as the database. So this understanding of database is necessary because it shouldn't limit you on where to store data. Where to store data should depend on the business use case. If the data is probably too large, then that's when we start talking about other things. And those other things are what we know as DBMS. Okay, okay. So we have what we call DBMS. So DBMS is database management system, right? Database management system. Okay, so DBMS is database management system. So what it means is that this is now like, this is what we can refer to as the tools. So DBMS is the tool that are specifically designed to implement the concept of database. Yeah, this is not like standard definition, right? But it's just to explain so you can get what I mean. Okay, so this is where you get tools that are, designed specifically to solve the concepts. In short, it's more of to implement the robust concepts. All right. So this is where you see things like, can you mention DBMSs that you know? Let's go. DBMSs that you know. Okay, let's shoot. Let me know if you're understanding. Exactly. So that is when you hear something like MySQL, you say Postgres, SQL, and so on. There is Oracle, there is the Microsoft SQL as well. So these are tools But it doesn't mean that database cannot be achieved without DBMS. But these are like specifically designed for robust concepts of database. All right. So that's the difference between that and the DBMS and database. I'm sure you know that there is, because of this, you should also understand that there's a difference between MySQL and SQL. Hope you know that. MySQL and SQL. Okay, MySQL, as we just talked about, is the DBMS. I'm seeing somebody saying Apache Kafka. Okay, so that's like going into data science, data engineering. All right, so MySQL is a tool. All right, while SQL is a language. All right, so do not confuse it. Do not confuse it. All right. So like I recall somebody was telling me that he told his boss that, hey, my SQL is not working, and the boss said, okay, use somebody else's own. Yeah, because of his level of understanding. Okay, so there is so much confusion and misconception of this term. So my SQL is not SQL. SQL is not my SQL. Okay, my SQL is just a name of a DBMS that can be used for SQL programming. All right, just the same way PostgreSQL and other things can also use SQL. Okay, so I think we've established that little concepts, and let's see if we can go a bit practical because of our time. Okay, I'll still want to share certain things, and maybe I should use my MySQL Workbench. Okay, so so I don't do too much definitions, but MySQL Workbench is just another tool to visualize what you're doing. All right. So somebody can still use MySQL without the MySQL Workbench. Hope you understand, right? So the Workbench is just like the interface on top of MySQL. MySQL is like a server. You can access, MySQL using a command line interface or terminal. All right. So this is just like the visual part of it. So you can see it in a more designed manner. Because of time, we can't really go into, command line interface to show you those things. So that's not the scope of this work. But just to know that you can access MySQL even without Workbench. You can even access MySQL through your Jupyter Notebook. I'm sure you are doing something like that, and we are going to get into it. But you are using SQLite. It's still SQL. It's not exactly MySQL. It is SQL. Okay. So probably when we get there, I will explain to you. So there are different SQL, will I say, databases or servers that you can access using Jupyter Notebook. So the ones you've been using on Jupyter Notebook is SQLite. You can also get access to Postgres on Jupyter Notebook, Postgres SQL. You can even get access to MySQL on Jupyter Notebook. But the reason why we are using the SQLite, which is using your magic command on Jupyter Notebook, is because of issues that people might, spend time trying to troubleshoot if they want to connect those other things, because there's some level of technicality. Okay, so there's something called server side. I'm sure you've seen that in one of your videos. There's something called server side and serverless. Okay, so in server side, you would have to connect to the server. It's going to require things like your database name. It's going to require the hosts or the IP address. Yeah, it's going to require the username and password. All right. So you can see all these would have to be, that means you would have to create a database before you, connect to it. So this is what we use in production, connecting to a live app or something. Why in serverless, you don't need all these things. All you just need is the database and you connect to it. So that's what we are using. So it becomes easy to achieve or practice your SQL using serverless. All right. So that's why you are learning my SQL Workbench. So my SQL Workbench is based on the server side. Okay, so it's working on the principles of my SQL server. So that's why before you log in, when you were trying to install my SQL Workbench, you had to put in some credentials, like the host, the username, the password. You use localhost, right? When you use localhost means that it is just within your system. All right. If you wanted to connect to a live app or a particular database, then you would probably have to replace that local host with the IP address or the web address. Okay. So yeah, let's not go too far, right? Let's not go too far. Okay. So yeah. Hope we've had enough definitions and we can go straight. So like I said, we are going to start with like some tips, some tricks, and all those stuff. Okay. I can see some persons raising their hands up. Unfortunately, I can't unmute you to speak. That's why there's a Q&A segment. So just hop in there and ask your questions. And then we have a lot of persons that are ready to answer you immediately. Okay. And then at the end of this, we'll still answer all those questions together. So let's step into this. Okay. When we started learning, we saw that somebody was asking something about, or if you think there is a particular SQL server that cannot be accessed through Jupyter Notebook, your thinking may not be correct, because as far as I know, every kind of SQL server can be accessed, via Jupyter Notebook. It's just the syntax. They might have different libraries to connect to them. Okay. So there's something called API, Application Program Interface. So those are the things that are used to connect to other applications. All right. So every server has an API or a library that you can use to connect, a Python library, because your Jupyter Notebook is based on Python. That's why the extension is .ipynb, which means don't push me to teach what I was not ready to teach. So there is IPYNB, which is your Jupyter Notebook extension. And this definitely means interactive Python, interactive Python notebook. Okay, so that's what it means. All right. So so that means the Jupyter notebook was designed specifically for Python. So anything that doesn't speak Python, you would have to install certain things. You have to import certain libraries that make it usable, even in the Python environment. So those are like third-party apps. Okay. So I'll show you how those things are when we get there, because you are actually using them. All right. Before you started using the percentage SQL, which is your magic command, you needed to import certain things, right? So those things told the Python environment that, hey, this is not Python, but I can make it work. So accept me into your environment. So you imported those things before this could work. Okay. So yeah, let's continue. All right. Like I was saying, when you started with your select command, right? So we are not going through everything, okay? So don't be scared. Don't be scared. We started with your select command. And you were using more of select all from something, right? Let's see. This is Workbench. Before we start, I have a couple of databases here. So let me start with so I can't just say select. Imagine I say something like select all from, say, employees. I would have an error. It says select all for employees, no database selected, because you see there's no database selected here. If there is a selected database, it's going to be bold. So what I will do is I will start by selecting a database, which is the keyword, and I want to use this wonderful name, Muwanwa. Okay. I don't need to explain the interface because I'm sure you already understand that. So now it gives me this green part showing me that it is ready to go. So if in this Moanwa, in these tables, under these tables we have different we have different tables, right? And so I want to use the employees, and I run this and I have the employees. Okay, so if I say select all from employees, it gives me this. If I say select, let's say count, let's use count. And this counts this from employees. And yeah, so shortcuts, you see, I'm not really clicking this. You already know this lightning bolt that if you click this one without this one on it, this item, how will I call it? This blank lightning bolt, if I click on it, it's going to run all the commands here. But if I click on this other one that has something on it, this lightning bolt here, it will only run that line where my cursor is. Okay, so a shortcut is command enter. Command enter is going to run only this particular line where your cursor is, or control enter on Windows. So if I do this, it's giving me the count. So that means I have 8 employees. 8 employees, right? Okay, let's see something. Now we have 8 employees. If I use select all, look at what's happening, right? Select all, oh, sorry. Select all is giving me why, oh, okay. This is not meant to be in parentheses. So select all is giving me the full details of these ones, of the 8 employees. Look at something. So if I use, say, select one, and I run this, what happens? It gives me 1. But it's going to give me 1 8 times. Okay. So I'm just showing you the different things that, like all the different magic that can happen even in the usual select clause. If I say I run my name, say Byron, and I do this, I'm going to have Byron appearing 9 times or 8 times because that's the total thing. Okay, I'm using this, I'm trying to get somewhere. All right, so these are the things. So because there are certain situations that you might not need to do a select all, you might just probably want to do select one. So those situations are rare, but it's possible. Okay, so now I want to use this method to explain something here. All right, let's do a count all. Count all says select count from employees. Count of this should be in parentheses. Okay, so count of this is giving me 8, right? Let's see. We have, let me just put this somewhere else. There's a particular column I want to see the naming convention of these columns. Why am I always repeating this select key? Okay, so now, you see this, let me drag these up. Okay, from this, we can see that we have the first name, and we have these employees reporting to somebody, right? So they're reporting to somebody, and this person they're reporting to is probably the manager, okay? Or they're reporting to themselves, right? So this is showing, so this is the general manager. So obviously, general manager is not reporting to anybody. The sales manager is reporting to this employee ID 1, and that is the general manager. The sales support is reporting to sales manager, you know, and so on. So, but there is something that is going to happen here, and pay attention because I'm about to ask you a question. Okay, so there's something that is about to happen here. Okay, now when I do select all, from or count all from employees, okay, I have this. Let me bring this query down. When I do count all from employees, I have this 8. When I do count for one of the columns, let's say report 2, hope that's the column name, I have 7. Why do I have 7 here and 8 in count all? Now I'm going to the charts. Somebody says he can't see my screen. Well, I think it's a problem with your system or your network, right? You can see my screen. Thumbs up, please, to confirm. Okay. All right. Awesome. So, exactly. So, yeah, some persons are getting it right. Okay. But let me just break it down for you to understand properly. When you use a count asterisk, it counts despite the nulls that are in the data sets. But when you use count with a column name, then it counts only the items or the rows that doesn't have null values. This is very tricky, so you need to really understand that when to use this. So if what you are looking for is just count the total employees, be careful not to count based on a column name. All right. Maybe you can use the column, the employee ID column, because if it is a primary key, one of the rules of a primary key is that there cannot be a null data set. All right. So or a null value. Let me show you what I mean. What I said is count all is going to count ignoring null values or nulls. All right. Why count? If I'm counting the column name, all right, this is going to what is the term? The opposite of ignore is going to recognize null values. Or let's not say not recognize. It will, oh, sorry. This is going to count all is going to include nulls, while count the column name is going to ignore nulls. All right. So if we have a table, example, we have a table, say table A has 8 records and column 1 has 6 records or 6 values. Okay. Now, if I use count table A, if I use count asterisk, all right, from table A, I'm going to have, oh, what? Yeah, I'm going to have 8 records. But if I use count and I refer it to column 1 from that same table A, I would have how many records? 6 records. Do we understand that? Are we good to go? Okay, awesome. All right, so let's do the last thing before we start coding proper. I guess we should delve into coding at once. I'm looking at the time because we have a lot to do. Remember, you have order of execution. Order of execution is important for you to understand. Okay, we have from, let me just give you a trick. I'm not going to go deep into explaining this, but let me just give you like a shortcut to really understand the order of execution. Okay, you understand what I mean by order of execution, right? Is how the SQL commands execute. Okay, so if I want to write it offhand, I would say it starts from, right? Then it goes to where, all right? Then I'm just going to go down and write limits. So limit is going to be the last thing in the order of execution. It's going to start from statements to where statements. Then we are going to have something like select. Then we can have distinct. Okay. Then what else comes after that? Then order by, group by. Okay. So no, group by doesn't come here. Okay, so this is let's avoid the aggregations. Group by is going to come like after where, before the select. Okay, so this is just like without aggregation, because many persons have issues with this. All right, so when you are even professionals kind of have issues with writing some of these things, because some persons will go filter the data probably after they've done maybe an order by. It's not going to work out. All right, so it starts from, it goes to where, it goes to select, it goes to distinct, order by, limit. If you are going to do like maybe a group by, you would see something like, say, group by somewhere here, and I think having under that before select. So what it means that this is how the engine of the SQL reads its stuff, right? So it first checks the table. That is why there is let's say we have something like select, let's say something like select select customers, or select customers ID, customer ID from customers. Okay, then I would now say something like I would say something like where age is greater than 16. Can this query work? Can this query work? Yeah. Okay, cool. Now, the reason why I asked this question is because this age is not in the select clause, but is working. You know why? Because based on the order of execution, the first thing that the engine is going to do is to check, all the columns. It's going to read all the columns here. Then it will now filter after that. So that means by the time that this where, let's remove this so that we are not doing aggregation yet. Okay, so we'll come back. By the time this where happens, okay, it hasn't check selects. Remember that select is after the where. So at this point now, so if there are like, say, if there are like 10 columns here, if there are 10 columns, it will filter it here to maybe whatever condition we want it to be. Okay, it is around select that it will now reduce it, okay, to the number of columns that were declared in the select clause. I don't want to confuse people. Hope I am not confusing people. Okay, so what it means here is that at this point here, when you wrote this query, select customer ID, even though it is only customer ID that was declared here, and you said from customers where age is greater than 60, age is not here, but age was still recognized in this query. Why? It is simply because based on the order of execution, the where clause is recognized before select. So before this select even reduce the number of columns to just customer ID, the where clause was already had access to what was coming from the from table or from the from clause, which had 10 columns. So H is definitely among these 10 columns. And so where could work, because it is after where that the columns reduce. So even though in your writing of the SQL query, it looks like select comes first, but at the back end in the engine, select comes after filtering. Okay. Yeah. So that's all for that. All right. So let's step into our practice. This is a notebook we'll be using to practice, and we'll share this with you. Okay. I would at the end of the class, yeah, whatever we put in the notes, even in the notepad here, if it is comprehensive enough, we'll add this as additional materials for you. Okay, so probably add this to the slides when you receive them. Okay, so let's get into this. So we have this practice notebook, and we believe that as we try to solve these questions, it won't be difficult for you in your exams. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's do this. These cell blocks are so blank because I want to be able to accommodate every kind of person that is here. So even though you've been having issues troubleshooting your Jupyter notebook, hopefully we might probably solve that quickly here together. All right, so now the first thing is we have to connect to the database. Remember that there is this code, which is load ext SQL, right? And then I run this. So this goes. Now this is our ERD. Okay, this is our ERD for the database we are dealing with. So it's called Northwind database. Okay, and these are questions. So first of all, let's look at the table here, customers. So the first thing we'll do, right, is to put the SQL magic command. Okay, so let's say we want to write select all from customers. I have an error. And I decided to allow this error run so that we can accommodate everyone who might also have an error. So sometimes the errors that we might have, like for me here, it's because I'm using like the latest Python version, and it's the SQLite that is being used is still an old one, kind of. So it's Python might not recognize the current version might not recognize it. So you have an option of reducing or rolling back to an old Python version, which is not very okay. All right. So, and that might be a bit more technical. So, but I have a code here which I will share with you. This is it here. So you don't have to study the code. It's not necessary. I don't even understand the code. I just have it. All right. So I didn't take my time to read it. It's not necessary. So you have like a boiler code here. All right. So this is what works for me. So I'll share it with you if you are going to use it. Okay. So now yep, like I said, no need of explaining this code. It's not necessary. Okay, let's connect to the database. So I'm going to add a cell here, and I would run this. Yeah, so it's okay now, but it does have to bring out an output, right? So I can now come back here and click and try this code again. G. It's telling me select all from cost. Oh, okay. My heart was skipping. I was like, you've entered. Okay, so this is to give me an error. And you know why? You know why it's still giving me an error? Can someone tell me why? Oh, somebody's asking what is the code for. So the code was it's because I was experiencing some errors and I explained why. So the errors I don't go too technical about it here to start explaining all these things. So but the summary of it is that I had issues connecting. It's not for everybody, okay? It's for those that are still having issues connecting their database or connecting their SQL here or using the magic commands, okay? So if you're experiencing like errors, like something like this, yeah, there could be different error messages, okay? So it's because it's trying to connect, it's trying to relate with this SQL, magic SQL, but it's not understanding what's going on. So for my specific case, it's because I'm using a new like the latest version of Python, okay? And so this is running on SQLite, but I have to like write a code that is going to make Python understand some things in the SQLite, because the old version of the Python could blend, but the new version is not understanding certain things because those things are not in its makeup, okay? So that's why this code is here. All right, so this code imports SQL, then it imports other things. All right, yeah. So like I said, don't let me explain these things. Okay, pretty table, it has its own meaning. All right, so everything here was just to make the Python code understand or the Python version understand this old version of SQLite. Okay, that is all. Just take it. It's a boiler code. You are not your duty is not to memorize this kind of things. Okay, okay, because we are now in a smart age, so you have to be smart. All right. Just understand it, and God is good. Okay, so another issue I have here is the fact that, okay, I think some persons were trying to tell me exactly. So that's the issue. I had not connected to my database. So even though I have something like that, it might not still work. So I need to connect to my database. And to connect to my database, I would have to do SQLite and no, this is going to be SQLite, and I would say these, and then the name of my database is, what's the name again? Northwind.db. So I have to confirm. I have to confirm from my notebook here. Yeah, northwind.db. Okay. So hopefully this should work. And let me see if, let me just type this. Yes. So it should be connected. So that means this should work. Voila, it works. All right. Now you need to also understand, that it has to be the same name. If you download your data sets for your exam, you might have something like TMDB hyphen 00 something. So in your templates, in your exam question, because I think you were helped to a certain level so that you're not going to stress yourself in the basic things. So you were helped to write this boiler code, right, or this query to connect to your database, but you had something like TMDB, right? So for example, now, if what I have is if I write Northwest, it's a different name, right? Or even though I write Northwind, but maybe with a hyphen one, it's going to it might not show an error, okay? But if I run this code here, it will tell me there is no such table as customers. So it's not recognizing that database. So you might encounter those issues. The first thing you should check is that the name is the same. So instead of putting those hyphens, you could go rename your file. You could just go to this one and rename your file. Look at this thing is appearing here. Let me delete this. So you could just rename your file. You could right click, rename, So if there was a .1 something, 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 you can just delete it and let it just be that, okay? So when you come to this place and, put it at tmdb.db, it's going to work, all right? Yeah. All right, so let's move along. So now, let's look at something else. Let's try to start answering these questions. But before that, I sometimes I don't really like to go up and down to start checking, these ERDs. So I would want to like put all my tables, If I was using my SQL workbench, I could just use a command called show tables, right? I could just say show tables and it shows me all the list of my tables. All right. So it makes me know what I'm dealing with. All right. So both of them have their advantages and disadvantages. All right. So the good thing about Jupyter Notebook is that you can see the output, it retains the output. So now I can obviously go here and look at the table. For example, this question is saying who are our customers? All right. These questions are drafted for you as a data analyst so that you understand we try to make these questions to reflect what happens in your day-to-day as a data analyst, all right? So you can see that it's more like a story. It's more like asking a question, not exactly how many things are in this table, okay? So I just want us to work on these as data analysts. These are likely questions that you will meet in reality, okay? So it's not just to prepare you for exam, okay? These are things that you are going to meet in reality. You want to know your customers. How are you going to know your customers? The table, right? So let me just show you something before that. All right. So now I'm going to do, okay. In case somebody might ask, we have two kinds of magic commands that can be used for SQL. We have this and we have this. Now, this one with 1% symbol is called line magic. I will show you why. And this is called cell magic. All right. Now, the line magic means that this particular code can only recognize that anything written in front of it is an SQL query. That's what line magic means. That means that if this is line, this is cell, that means that anything under this line would not be recognized. For example, if I'm saying, let's use this query now. This is giving us select all, is giving us the tables, right? Now let's do this. If I use this 1% symbol and I say select all from customers, will it work or not? Would this work? Yes, no, no, yes, no, no, yes, no, no. Let's produce a music. Let's produce an album. Yes, no, no, yes, no, no, yes, no, no. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. It's not like I love confusion, but just understand the yes and no is just is dancing in front of me. Okay, so now select all from customers would work. Unfortunately to the nose, but I understand. All right, this is your first time, so please, even some of those yeses, they guessed. In short, I know that somebody even put yes and later put no, so we understand. I saw some names like that. Okay, so now we have select all from customers working. Why? Because this query is on the same line with this. So this is a line magic. All right, so this is a line magic. But if I wrote this, if I put this under this, I would have an error. It's telling me that select all from customers is an invalid syntax. You know why it's saying it's an invalid syntax? Because this is a Python environment. This is a Python environment. So in a Python environment, as far as this SQL does not become an umbrella, this magic command is not an umbrella to this. So this is like being naked. And so Notebook or Jupyter is recognizing this as a Python code, and this is not, it is an error, is an invalid syntax. This is not a Python syntax. So that's why you're getting this error. So if you want this code to work under this, that means the one with percentage symbol, the umbrella does not cover anything outside this line. But if I add another percentage symbol, what I'm saying is that anything within this cell, wherever it is, as far as it's under me, please accept it as an SQL code. So when I run this, it gives me the correct answer. Okay, that's why if you check your notebook, wherever you see a single percentage symbol, it is the query is actually just in front of it. There's no other query under it. Okay, so but to be on the safe side, it's best to just use double percentage, because sometimes you might have to write like multi-line queries, you know, it's still going to work. Okay, yeah, so that's for you to know. Okay, so now we have who are our customers, so we can decide to check our customers based on whatever. So let's say we want to check based on the contact name. So yeah, let's say we have customer ID and contact name. Do we need any other thing? Let's say contact title. Okay, from customers. So if we do this, okay, so if we do this, we have this. All right, so you can use, remember, you can use select to even rearrange your column names. So in case I want to put the contact, I want the contact title to appear before, you know, the contact name, you know, it's possible using the select, but the select query or clause. Okay, so now we have this, and we can even go further. This is like a search, like you want to know your customers. Okay, so how many of my customers, you know, starts with let's say their name starts with letter A or something. So you can just say from customers where, you can say where maybe contact name. Yeah, I know you understand those wildcards, right? Where contact name would start with A, all right, and anything can be after that. All right, so that means, so it's going to give us only people that their contact name starts from A. Yep. Okay. I think we can close the chat, because some persons are using the chat to connect. Please focus. All right. Connect with the notebook, not with people for now. All right. So yeah. So let's face our book and not Facebook. I need to be doing rhymes. All right. So now let's do this. We've now successfully understood, you know, so you can just go as much as possible to do more than that, like know more about your customers if you want to check based on their companies and the rest. But this is something you already know. Okay, so this is what we call wildcards. All right, so there are different wildcards, and we've seen that, so I'm not going to flog on it. You know, we have the percentage symbol, we have the underscore. What else do we have? I think these are majorly these are more especially, these are the white cards. Okay, we have this, but it's not exactly a wild card. This is like an escape key. Okay, let's not go too far. All right, so you know, if you want to say, okay, I want to see people that had like you can see that maybe the names ended with A. All right, so I can put the percentage symbol, then A, and we have that. So that's like easy for you, right? So let's just continue. Okay, what are our most valuable products? Do you promise me that you're going to behave if we open the chat? Because I see a lot of connects to people there. Please, you can do that, you know, in the portal. All right. So while we are learning, please just try, because I'm sure that all of us here are above that age. Okay, so please, it could be distracting when I'm trying to go into the chat to see if there are concerns that I need to address, and then I'm seeing connect with me at yahoo.com. Please don't do that. Okay, so you promised me, right? Let's open the chat. Thank you. All right. What are our most valuable products? So the question is, how do we explain valuable products? Remember, you are doing magic command. So let's do the double percentage first. How do we explain valuable products? So let's select yes, how do we explain valuable products? When we say a product is valuable, how do we explain that? Yeah, price. Okay. 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 Thank you very much. So you see, what I'm trying to get here is to explain to you that analysis is not a one size fits all kind of thing. It is based on the business use case. That's why there is something called domain expertise. All right. So as analysts, we've had like several of these kind of things. You could answer a particular question differently per company, because the most valuable products consideration for this company might be different from how another company, sees a product to be valuable. This company might consider a valuable product to be the most expensive one. Another person could consider a valuable product to be the most ordered. Another one could even consider it to be like the one that has the least quantity or the highest quantity as the most valuable. So you need to understand and not work based on assumption. That is why logic is very essential. In short, logic supersedes coding. So you need to understand what you want to achieve before you start trying to achieve it. So let's assume that in this case, our most valuable product is going to be the price. As you have stated, some persons mentioned price, some persons mentioned quantity, and all those things. So everything is actually correct, but it depends on the company, what they see. So we are going to use price. All right. So what are our most valuable products? So first of all, where are we going to see the prices of products? Look at it here from your ERD, from the ERD that we have here. Where is the product? We have products here. In this product, we have unit price. So that's interesting. So we have unit price in this product. So that means just from this product table, we can get what we want, right? So let's do that. So now let's see. We can say select all from products. Let's just have a little overview of the product. Select all from products, and let's limit this to, let's say, 4, so that we have an understanding of our products table. So now we have this, okay, and we have the products here, which is the product's name, the product ID, blah blah blah, and we have unit price. So it's not very okay to use select asterisk every time, all right? Because if you're using like a production system, select all is going to cost, is going to generate a lot of cost, and you don't want to be that analyst that always makes your company to spend too much, okay? Because in the production system, most of those softwares are bought and they are paid per usage. So when you say select all, it's scanning through all the data in that database, and loading everything here. So it's you are paying for the scanning, you are paying for the storage space where the data is going to display. So you want to avoid that. So we select the columns that we need. All right. So probably we need just the product name, maybe the product ID. Let's start with the product ID and the unit price. So when we do this, we can see that these are, but it doesn't solve the question. It doesn't answer the question properly. It says, what are most valuable products? That means we are looking for, based on our logic, we want the most expensive, right? So how do we get the most expensive? What way are we going to get the most expensive? Let's say we want to have our top 3 expensive products. How do we get that? In the chat, let's see. How do we get our top 3 expensive products? That's the most expensive products. The top 3 most expensive products. Yes, please. You could put on the chat if it's off. I guess some persons will be trying to answer the question. So how do we get the top 3 products, like the most expensive products? Order by, exactly. Thank you very much. So you need to be careful when you say order by. When you say order by without writing, let's say order by the unit price, okay? The unit price. If you don't put ascending or descending, it's going to be ascending by default. All right, so this is it. But because we want the most expensive, we have to put DSC for descending. Okay, so we have here 263, 123. So these are the 4 most expensive. So if I want to get the 3 most expensive, I just do this and I have the 3 most expensive products. Now that answers your question. All right. It's not compulsory you put the product ID. You could just remove the product ID, and the product name and the unit price. Okay. All right. So how do we find people in our company? I think we've done something like this, so we can skip it. Like this is who are our customers. It's similar. So you use the same kind of query. You can do that for employees because I think people in our company has to do with the employees, right? So you can do that for employees. So I'll leave that. I'll share the notebook with you. So it's not going to be fun if I answer all the questions. So I'll just leave some things for you to play around with when you have your time. So what are the most recent orders from a key customer? I think this might take some time because we need to explain also, we need to understand who are our key customers. So please help me. Who are our key customers? How do we understand our key customers in this case? How do we understand? I feel like if we can solve this, then there's almost nothing else we can solve here because looking at the question, if we are going to go by the logic, the full logic, we might, implement, a couple of processes, like queries or commands or functions. Yeah, customers that patronize frequently, customers with highest orders. Can we see that? You can see that different persons are having different views of who the key customer is, right? So it depends on the kind of business. The key customers might be somebody that that buys frequently. The key customer might be someone that buys, pays heavily. All right. So in this case, let's go with the one that pays heavily. All right. Let's go with the one that pays heavily. So all right. You can turn off the charts so that we can pay attention. Okay, so who are the most recent orders? What are the most recent orders from a key customer? So before we just start, thinking too deep, first of all, we want to ask, what we are trying to say is, first, there are 2 things here. The first thing is the key customer, and the next thing is the most recent orders of this key customer. That means this has to do with maybe dates or something. But let's start with key customer. So let's go back to our ERD and let's talk about, so we can't look at products and check their price, right? For customers, because we have to look at the orders, the things that were being bought, okay? So we have orders, but orders does not have price, but it is the order details that we can see the price of what these people ordered. All right. The order details has the price of what these people ordered. So what are we going to do here? We are going to use order details first. So let's select all. Where are we? Okay, 1.4. All right, so let's do a select all from other details. Okay, a select all from other details. Let's just do limits, and let's say limit 5. Let's see what we can get. Okay, so we have this unit price, quantity, discount. Okay, so you can see that even one other ID has bought, multiple times. So that means we need to group it so that we can have the total of what one other ID has made. All right. So, but we have the unit price. We don't have the total price. Okay, we have unit price, we don't have total price. So that means we have to create a derived column or a calculated column. Okay, so don't worry, we'll do this gradually. All right, now let's do select. Let's look at, say, we need the order ID. We need the order ID because we are going to join tables or connect tables together. So we need the order ID. We'll need the unit price. All right. And no, we don't need the unit price. What we need is a calculation between the quantity times the unit price. Right? What we need is they are talking of the customer, not the products, right? So the order ID, then the quantity times the unit price. Right? Look at what we are going to have. We're going to have this. Okay. So it's going to be quantity times unit price. So the quantity times unit price is going to give us the total amount that that person bought that product. Okay. So now let's aggregate this. Let me just break this into lines. So it's going to be, so let's aggregate this. So I'm going to say that because I want, this is 10248. So this is one particular order ID represented in multiple lines. So I want to sum everything up. So it's going to be just this order ID that has the total of the, total amount. All right. So what I'm going to do here is I will do is I will sum this. I will sum this. Okay. And when you use an aggregation, it's best to also add a group by. Okay. So when I do select this, sum this from this, then what I should do is I want to group it by the order ID. Let's see what we have. So we have individual order IDs, all right, having the sum. This is not neat, right? So we have to use an alias. So let's give it like as maybe total. When we run this, we see 10248. You can see it's clean. Okay, 10248, 440, 10. But what we have here is just the order ID and the total. So in short, what we did is we brought out the top 5, right? So I can go ahead in doing an what do we call it? Order by, right? I will say order by total in descending order. So when I run this, I have from the highest order to the, in short, the top 5 orders based on their highest orders, all right, or the amount they paid. So I could just make this total amount, so it's not going to be confusing. Yes, so it will be order by total amount, and that's it. We are not done, but I believe we understand it to this point. Do we get it to this point? Thumbs up if that's a yes. Thumbs down if that's a no. Okay, so I see a lot of thumbs up. So there is hope for the future. Okay, all right. Now let's go further. We are not done, but I'm going to share this notebook with you, okay? So you can go through it again. Now, we've succeeded in getting the orders that actually have the highest amount. What we want to now know is the customers that are responsible for these orders. So that means there needs to be a connection between customers and this particular data. So that's where our ERDs are very important. So if I go back to the ERD, where is my ERD? Where is my ERD? Oh my God. I can't see my, who stole my ERD? Oh, it's here. Okay. So now I can see my ERD. I can see the order details. All right. So these are the order details. The amount is there. We've succeeded in querying this. Now, the next thing is, how can we connect these order details to the customers? Where is the customer table? This is the customer table. Now, there's a principality that is standing between this customer and this order details. So that means I have to pass through these order details to this, through these orders to these order details. You know, when you say you have to pass this guy, he has to beat you first before beating this guy. All right. So this is what it means. All right. So this customer would have to pass through the orders to get this. That means I have to join, I have to resolve this information with these orders. So I need to know the orders that, you know, provided those information. Then I will connect those orders to the customers that made them. Okay. Hope I'm not speaking in foreign language. Okay. So now what I've succeeded in doing is to have my order ID. What I need to now do is to have the orders that, you know, represent this order ID. Let me explain what these orders means. Like you walk to a supermarket and you buy multiple items, you get a receipt, isn't it? That receipt is your order receipt. Okay. In that receipt, you can have multiple items. Those items in that receipt are your order items or order details. So what we want to do is we want to see the receipts that got these IDs before we now talk about the customer that owns that receipt. Okay, so that's what we're trying to do. So now, for a start, what I'm going to do here is to try to get these. Let me comment this first. Okay, this is, I'm sure you understand multi-line commenting in SQL. So let me comment this, and then let's see, select all from orders. I want to see how we can connect them, okay? So let me just have an overview of what is there. So let me just say limit to see the tables in the orders data set, or the data in the orders take, yeah. So now we have order ID, which is in our order details table, right? So that means we can connect this to order ID. All right. So this is order ID. And what's in this particular table can connect with customers. Okay. So we have to look for something, and which is the customer ID. So that means we want to get the customer ID from this particular table, right? Through this order ID. Hope it's not too much of, hope it's not disturbing. You get my point, right? So we need to get the customer ID, because what we are trying to get is the customer that made these important orders. But we cannot just get the customer from here. So we need to look for the representation of these orders inside the order table where the customer ID is. So that means we are going to go a step further to say, okay, let's use CTEs. Let's use CTEs. So with CTEs, we are going to say, because this is where subqueries come in, all right? But subqueries is kind of messy when you are making complicated subqueries, all right? So CTEs is like a neat way of writing subqueries. So let me delete this and this. Wow. If you pay attention to this, I'm sure this would cover up for almost every other query that we are going to do, because almost every function and everything that we need We'll get them here. Okay. Important functions, I mean. Okay, so let's say with city is a with clause, right? So we are going to say with. What name are we going to give this? What name are we going to give this? So the output of this is yeah, so let's say this top orders, top order details. Okay, as we open this parenthesis, and when you are using city, you don't use semicolon in the query that is in that parenthesis. Okay, so we do this. Then to test our city that's okay, so we can just say select all from these top order details. Let's see. So it should give us that query. So yeah, so that is working. So what we want to do now is I want to join this. Okay, so I'm going to say select this order ID, right? Select order ID, customer ID. Let me not confuse us. Select order ID from top order details, right? Now I want to join it with the information we saw in orders from with the orders table, right? So orders table is O, and this is OD. Okay. Now we have to define the joining points. So where join this on, right? O dot, what's the relationship? The order ID is equal to OD dot the order ID. All right. So this tells us, so if we test this, we might have an error, exactly. So it tells us ambiguous column name. The reason is because order ID exists in both tables. It exists in both tables. So the engine is confused. Which of the tables order ID do you want to bring out? That's what it means by ambiguous. Okay. So now we need to tell him that, okay, guy, I want you to give me the orders from this one. Okay, so take it from the orders table, order ID. You can use anyone, you can use OD, you know, or O, anyone. So if I run this, it's giving me the order ID. If I use O, it's also going to give me the order ID. Now look at this. I want to add, remember your orders table has something called customer ID. So I want to add the customer ID here, right? See, if I do this, you can see that I did not need to even include O or OD as a prefix because customer ID exists in only one of the tables, which is the orders table. So it cannot be ambiguous. So when it sees customer ID, it recognizes that, okay, you're referring to this table. Do we understand? Do we understand? Okay. So I could go ahead to add the total amount. All right. The total amount shouldn't also give us a problem because total amount, we only did that here. So if I run this, you can now see that we don't have just the order ID and the customer ID. We now have the total amount. Remember in our previous query, which was the query inside this one, we had just the order ID and the total amount. So now we have succeeded in getting the customer's ID. So now that we've gotten the customer ID, it will now be possible for us to get the customer because this is the ID that connects to the customer's database. All right. So we can even add another level of CTE here. All right. So let's do this. I'm going to put a comma here. All right. That's how to do these things. I'm going to put a comma here and I'm going to say, I'm trying to give it a name. I think I'm bad with names, but let's look for a name. So the output of this particular item or this particular query is giving us the top IDs. Okay, so I can say top customer ID. Now, naming convention is very important. Naming convention is very important. All right, because you should write your names in such a way that somebody can see it and understand what is going on. Not that you are going to write A or B. It's going to work, but even in the nearest future, if you look at that code, you might get confused because you don't understand what's going on. So you have to try as much as possible. There is no level of, or there's no limit to the number of words you can use to name it, as far as it explains what it is. Okay. So I can look at this and know that this is stop order details and this is stop customer ID. Okay, that I'm trying to get. Okay, now to test if this my CTE works well, I would just say select all, let's say select all from this stop customer ID. I should get the same response that I had before. So fine. So that means everything is working normal. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I want to get my customers. Let's go to the ERD. Let's go to the ERD. This ERD is running again. Okay, it's here. Okay, so let's go to the ERD. So we have the customers. This is the customer ID, and we have the contact name. So that means we want to connect the customers based on the customer ID, and maybe we generate the contact name. So let's see how we can achieve that. So now we are going to say select all from, let me not use select. Let's just say select. Let's still call these things custom order ID, customer ID, total amount. All right. From, remember, this is coming from this table. All right. Then we have to join it. So we can just give this table an alias. Let's say this is TP. Yeah, let's say this is TC. And we have to join based on which one now? We have to join based on customers. We have to join the customers. All right. And the customers is C. All right. But what is the relationship between this query and the customer's query? Is the fact that the customer's ID is the relationship. So the customer's table has customer ID, and this other table also has customer ID. So that's the connecting point. Okay. Now, if I run this, I might also have an issue. Why? Because the customer ID here is also existing in these two tables. So it's going to be another ambiguous term. So what I would just do is I'll just choose any of them. So maybe TC.this, all right? And yeah, I think this is meant to be underscore. So this should work if the syntax is correct. And yeah, it is correct. You can see there's no difference here. There's no difference here. The reason is because these are the only things I declared. So if I come here and I add, let's say, contact name, that's the name of the customer, right? That's how you call the customer here, right? Let's confirm. If you want to call the customer's name, that's contact name, so not just customer name. So we have to use that same. So I will say customer name, this, and we have something is wrong. What is wrong? No such column as customer. Oh, it is contact name, not customer name. Yep. And this. So now we have the names of people that bought a lot of things. So we succeeded in getting our key customers. So these are our key customers. So now, how do we achieve this? To achieve this is not going to be a problem. The most recent orders, we can, let me just create another cell here. Okay. So let's say we want to get the most recent orders, and it said most recent orders from a key customer. So you need to understand English. So it says from a key customer. So that means that any of these customers. So I can decide to say I want to see the most recent orders from this person. All right. Or from this person. These are key customers. So any of the key customers. All right. So I can just do something. I can just quickly do it like this. And where we're going to get the details. So we have the orders here that has the date and time, right? So if I do select all from orders, I should have this. Oh, I didn't limit this, so it's not going to, let's say limit 3. So I have this. Okay. So what I can do is I can say select all from orders. Then I can filter it to where customer ID equals, let's say the first customer, right? This is quick. That's the ID. What kind of ID is that? So this is quick. Okay. So it's really a quick customer, and this one saved us. I don't know about this. All right. So this is the customer ID. This is more like the top person. And so if I do this, I will see quick everywhere, you know, and then we have the order dates. But the question is asking for the most recent orders. The most recent orders is definitely going to be, well, order by the order dates. And then the order date would be in descending order because that's the most recent. The most recent is going to be the latest dates, which is the descending order. And then I have this. So I can limit this to just one. So this is an old data set, else it would have been confusing to see that, wow. So are you saying that the person that, you know, our highest buying customer was, like the last time the person bought was 1998 and this is 2025? Then there's a problem with that business. So, but let's assume that this is 2025 and this is April, right? 2025. So it's something that helps in decision making. I know that's when somebody is going to call you from, you know, your DSTV or whatever company and says, "Oh, it's long you last watched our channel. It's long you did a transaction with us. What's going on?" Because they're not seeing your money any longer. So they've seen in the database that the last time you did a transaction was in April, and this is June. So yeah, so this is how they follow up, and this is the function of the data analyst. So you go give them that, hey, these are our top customers, and this is the last time they made order. So let's check up on them. Let's tell them that we love them and we care for them. We know that's not the truth. They care for our money. Okay, so that's how you get them. So because you can decide to check like maybe the last customer. Oh, this is Queen. Why is your ID Queen? Well, let's see what Queen. So Queen was like way back. This is May, way back May, and then you can call Queen. Hello, Queen. Your kingdom is waiting. Okay, so that's how we attain these things, and I'm sure that you've already been overloaded. Understanding this with this particular question, we have, you know, solved, we have dealt with aggregations, we have dealt with filtering, we've dealt with what do we call it? We've handled filtering, we've handled sorting, order by is sorting, where is filtering, you know, we've done joins, okay. Although the joins we've been using most times are all the time here are inner joins. Inner joins are the most popular joins. I'm sure you understand when to use, you know, left join or right join. Okay. So I'm not sure there's any question here that will not be able to get answers. So like something here, this is which products are priced above average. Maybe if you just try this, right? And then you can call it so I can just get into the questions and see if there's anyone that will require some, you know, practical work. Okay, so which products are priced above average? So I'm going to do this. And the first thing we need to do, remember, the logic is more important than the query. All right. So if you just start typing, you would get confused. You might spend a lot of time trying to do something simple. Okay, so we are saying which products are priced above average. So this has to be from the products page, right? We saw that there are prices in the products page. Select all from products. Let's limit this to say 5. And we have unit price. So now what I'm going to do here is I want to get the average I want to get the average of the unit price. And I want to get it per, okay, no, just the average, right? Just the average from products. So I will just have one thing here. So let me just rename this as average AVG price. Okay, so this is a bit tricky, but it's easy. So now we have this. I'm going to create another cell. Okay, now we have this. So let's see. We want to see the products that are above average. So I'll say select all. I will say select all from products. Yep. Select all from products. Let's see what we have here. So let's just have the names, right? So let's have the product's name. Let's have the product's name. Let's have the product name, comma. Let's have the what else? I think that's all, right? Let's have the product's name. And let's see the unit price. Let's see the unit price. Okay, from products. Okay. So now we want to now filter this from products where unit price is greater than. So I'll just copy this, right? I'll just copy this where the unit price is greater than this. Okay. So this answers the question. Let me limit this. This is too much. So let's say limit 5. Okay. So we have this. All right. Now this is hard coding. So it's not standard practice. So instead, what I would do is I will put this in this because this particular query is going to produce this particular amount. So if I put this here, I should get the same result. So even though this average price changes, this value here would also change. So you can now see the product name, and these are the products that the prices are above the average price. There's a lot to do with subqueries. You can do where unit price is in something. If you are filtering based on subqueries, there is not in, there is in, there is exist. Sure, you've seen all those things. All right. So this is where we would call it a day, and hopefully we'll do more in the question session. So this notebook is going to be shared with you, and you can try your hands and even ask questions on answer based on some of these questions. If you need clarity, we are definitely going to be there to help you out. All right. So thank you very much. Thank you for the love. Thank you for this celebration. And thank you for permitting my clownishness. Okay. Have a nice day. So handing over to going to the session for the Q&A. Let's see. Okay. Is there okay? Okay. I want to write a query that returns the most recent orders from all our key customers at once. Okay. So yes, Anonymous, it's possible to do that, and unfortunately we didn't do that. So what you are trying to say is you want to have where was that? I think this is it, right? So okay, here. So you want to have this person, having the recent orders, at once. Like you just not just for Queen, but you want to have like maybe recent orders, and you have the most recent date here, and all those stuff. Yeah, it's possible. Now I'll just give you a tweak, and I think I'll give you this as a task. So I'll give you a tweak, right? Use Windows function. All right. So you can use Windows function to get that. Okay, use Windows function is going to give you that. You can have like, those kind of granular details for this. You just add the column to what you have here, and you have the recent dates. Yeah. So that's going to do the magic. Yep. Okay. Yeah, somebody's writing a query. Uh, Okay. Thank you very much, Anonymous, for writing a query to appreciate me. I am Munesu. Ah, wow. Can we connect with Byron if we need assistance? Jim, forward your question to Centex. Yeah, if you can catch me, why not? Yeah, it's possible. It's unrelated though, but how do I access answer base? Okay, so I think the answer base, I don't know, maybe you should ask the community, maybe ask Tendai, or we are going to get answer to that. Why didn't I group the product's name in the last one? I think maybe this might be the last question. Where is the last one I did? Can you remember the number? Okay. So for this, it wasn't necessary because the products in this products page are unique. So you are not going to see a product appearing more than one time. Okay. For example, let me just quickly show you what I mean. So this is select all from products. From products, right? Let me just put a limit. Limit 2. Okay, so I have the product's name. Yeah, the product ID, right? So let me do count of this. Let me count this, okay? And I have 77 items, okay? So if I do count distinct of the products, should I use products ID or product name? Let's try products name. Remember these 77 items. You can see that counting distinct. Distinct means the unique names. You can see it's also 77. So it is expected that in the product page, each product is unique. So if there is no possibility of one product appearing multiple times, there's no need of grouping, because the reason why you group is just so that you have all the activity for one particular item. So if every row is uniquely just one, then if you do grouping, you'll be wasting that function because it's going to work, but you are going to be creating more costs for your company because grouping takes a lot of costs in terms of aggregating and the rest. And eventually you are going to end up having the same result as if you did not use grouping. So yeah, so when you have unique items, there's no need for grouping. Okay, I hope that is the last. Okay, for those finding difficulty in installation and connecting, please go to answer base so that we can have time to go through that. Yes, there is recording, and yes, I think that is all for now. We'll be happy to answer the rest of your questions on answer base. Okay, so thank you very much, and over to you, Annette. Bye.
Thank you. That was an amazing session, and I hope you all got to engage. If you do have any more technical questions, please you can go to answer base and you will get all your responses. But before I do, I want to launch a poll as I address one of the questions of senior. So please give it a response. Anonymous is asking that I just want to be sure whether the June 30th deadline will lead to withdrawal. And you want to have the correct information to plan accordingly. So first of all, there is no withdrawal from the program. Okay, and also to address that, I'd really appreciate your clarification on the following points. Is it true that we must submit all required quizzes from Sprint 1, 2, 3, 4 by 30th of June to avoid being dropped off? Will students be withdrawn from the program even if they've paid the $49 fee if they don't meet the submission requirements? Anonymous, you won't be withdrawn from the program. But what will happen is when you submit your assessments after the deadline, your assessments are being capped at 50%. You only have one chance to get 100% in your assessments. So for example, the deadline is normally on Monday. 9:59 GMT, 9:59 p.m. GMT. So if you miss that deadline, what will happen is all your assessments will be capped at 50, no matter if you get all the answers correct. So you will not be dropped off, but your assessments will be capped at 50%. Now, what will also happen if by the end of the program you're yet to complete and submit all the assessments, you would have maybe to, if you still want to get a certification, you'd have to go through the learning all over again and in another cohort, and you'd have to enroll again. So no, you will not be withdrawn from the program. I hope that answers your question. If you do need more clarity, please reach out on eHub on the Ask the ALX data team, and we will get to just dissect some more. I see some very shocked faces. Why are you shocked? We shared this information with you guys in our emails as well. So please make sure that you're submitting your assessments on time so that you can give yourself a chance to get at least 100%, yeah? Richmond is also asking, I have not signed in with Zoom. I just did it now. I'm not sure, Richmond, what you mean by that. But yeah, please make sure that you are registering for the session so that you can get the link sent to your emails directly. Not someone. Normal, Yamunoma. I'm gonna say that one because the other one here, I don't want to butcher your name, is talking about how do you access answer base. Let me just pull up something. Let me pull up my screen a bit. On answer base, sorry, not on answer base. Sorry, I am answering something about answer base, not on answer base. Please give me a minute. But on eHub, there is a guide that has been put there for you so that you're able to actually navigate yourself to answer base. And my screen is lost. Let me just my screen is getting lost, but even as I'm pulling it on eHub, we do have a space called the program hub that has all the resources that you need to actually, you know, get to answer base and things like that. Sorry, this technology sometimes will do your wonders. Yes, here you go. Sorry about that. But on eHub, we have the program hub space that you will get a guide that will show you how to access answer base. Let me just show you where it is. And also, as I answered the question on is there a recording and where can I get the notebook and where can I do all these things, we have all those spaces that have been created for you and you can get all that you need. So on the program hub is where you will get the event recordings and all the resources that you're going to need. And all the resources that you're going to need. So not the announcement, but the program hub. This is where all the recordings are so far. So what will happen is we will come and update week 8 recordings and resources, and you can get the slides and the notebook and everything you need right here, right after the session. To also answer the question on answer base, how do I access answer base? We have a guide right here that will guide you on how to go about it. Now, if you are still not able to see this space, please put up a Zendesk request and you will be able to be supported. Now, we might not be able to answer all the FAQs that we have right now, but if you do have a pressing question that you want us to address, we will work on just making sure that you guys get all that you need. This is the space where you can come and interact with us, and the team is constantly checking what has been posted there and sharing all the resources that you need on that one. So I can see so I see most of them are Oh, I have a question that's two questions, I think. Okay, most of them are pretty, and we have the team also answering them. Yes, to confirm your anonymous, that there is no being withdrawn from the program. Yes, the only, not penalty, but the only repercussion is that your assessment will be fixed, capped at 50%. So I've seen a very important question and I lost it. Yeah, I'm gonna post this one to one of our technical mentors. If you fail one of the tests after exhausting all the three attempts, what would happen? For this one, let me pass it on to Nolwazi. Nolwazi, what happens when a learner has exhausted all the three attempts on Athena?
So first of all, please be very careful and make sure that when you reattempt, you've gone through the content again and you know where your knowledge gaps are. That could be reaching to your squad or be, reaching out on answer base. But let's say that you did do all of that, but still, so you have exhausted all your retries. However, there is that practice option as well. So the practice option does not count towards the final mark, but we do encourage you to actually use that because let's say maybe there's only one assignment that's missing that can get you to that graduation. That's when we actually look at your practice scores and we say, oh, okay, Byron actually, although he didn't manage to pass with all the retries, but he did attempt it again and he eventually did pass when he tried the practice test. So that's what we would encourage you guys to try that route, the practice test route.
Thank you for that. Please take note of that one. Take your time before you reattempt again. And also say, Andrew Mwambo, your question on payment. Please follow up with this one on Ahab. You can find my name, Annette Kanyanga, on Ahab, and then you'll be able to look into it very specifically. When you say despite the many emails, I just want to confirm that you have been reaching out on Zendesk. And if you have, the team could just be taking a little bit longer to get back to you, but I'm sure they will do. But in the meantime, please, you could reach out on the ALX, ask the ALX data teams program, the ALX data programs team, this space, or you can find me personally, let me just say me, and then we can just get that discussion going on Ahab. Most of the questions I see are pretty much like, how do I get this? How do I get this? How do I get this? Now, the spaces that we have for you guys, you get everything that you need. So please make sure that you're always constantly checking the announcement space, hub space, and the Ask the Data program space so that you can get all that you need. In case of any other questions, we can get on Ahab. And for the technical questions, please make sure that you're taking them on AnswerBase so that you can get the best support from the team. We're slowly coming to the end of the session. And, oh, sorry, for the next steps, please pace yourself. Your next assessment, the SQL exam, is due on 30th, 11:59 GMT. Yeah, please make sure that you actually take your time. No need to rush it. The assessment is there for you to actually practice on it. Ensure that you're doing it beforehand so that you're not getting situations where you haven't really submitted on time, and give yourself a chance to actually get 100%. Remember that your squad leads are hosting the study group discussions every week. Spare time to join your peers in these sessions. Watch out for these details in your squad spaces and engage because you don't have to do it by yourself. We are all here to support you, and the peers are here to also work with you. A new module will be open next week, so please make sure that you're up to date with your assessments so that you're not really falling behind with your learning. And thank you so much for joining. Please do enjoy the music, and we will catch you on Ahab on Answerbase and all the other platforms that will engage with you. Until next week. So adios muchachos. Bye.
DJ Khaled. Hey. Yeah. All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there, and they say yeah, and they stay there. Cause all I do is win, win, win. And if you going in, put your hands in the air, make them stay there.
Ludacris going in on the verse, cause I never been defeated and I won't stop now. Keep your hands up, get them in the sky for the homies that ain't making it, my folks locked down. I never went nowhere, but they saying Luda's back. Blame it on that contour, the hood call it Ludayak. And I'm on this foolish track, so I spit my foolish flow. My hands go up and down, like strippers' booties go. My verses still be serving, tight like a million virgins. Last time on a college remix, now I'm on the original version. Can't never count me out, y'all better count me in. Got 20 bank accounts, accountants count me in. Make millions every year, the South's champion. Cause all I do, all I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there, and they say yeah, and they stay there. Cause all I do is win, win, win. And if you going in, put your hands in the air, make them stay there. Swerving, swerving. You going in, put your hands in the air, make them stay there. Swerving in my low, head on a swivel, you know serving me's a no-no. Clean as a whistle as I pull out in my Rolls Royce. Yellow bone passenger, they see it, they say, oh boy. Tell Cali, back it up, my niggas call me loco. Down for armed trafficking, don't make me pull that fofo. Ask you what you laughing at, represent that mud life. Dirty money, bitch, you better get your mud right. We come together holding hands and holler hood life. We all strapping all black, it's like Bud Light. All we do is win. You riding to what? Cause we riding tonight. Now you riding with me cause you wasn't riding. All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there, and they say yeah, and they stay there. Cause all I do is win, win, win. And if you going in, put your hands in the air, make them stay there.
Heat in the kitchen, pot on the stove, water getting boiled, dope being sold, Snoopy in the hookie, system overload. I've been running this rap game since I was 20 years old. I hung with the worst of them, bust till I burst them up, floss them up, toss them up, hard away, close them up. Pardon me, I'm bossing up, brace you up, bless you, bro, don't mess with us. We like the U in the 80s, back to back, set a track, hit the lick, get it back, get the trick, jump the track, bitch, I want my money back. Time and time again, while I'm sipping on this gin, Al Davis said it best, just win, baby, win.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there.